Welcome back everyone to my weekly series where I introduce you to new games to check out on Roblox. This is episode 23. That means there are 22 other episodes. If you missed any of those videos, I'm going to link a playlist on the top right so you can go check those out because there's so many great games that you may have missed. When you have time, maybe go through those videos, put them in the background, and maybe you'll find a game that you really like to play. If you like discovering new games, please support the series by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So our first game here is called Far From Land. It's a fun and interesting take on Five Nights at Freddy threat management and survival style gameplay where you need to keep an eye out for enemies while trying to complete your job's duties. So in Far From Land though, players are the captain of a cargo ship and need to reach their destination safely. Your first voyage is pretty much a tutorial, so you don't have to worry about too much of like trying to figure things out. Way easier than Five Nights at Freddy in my opinion. Like I don't know how many times I've played like Forgotten Memories and some other games that were inspired by it and just got crushed. But for this one though, you like I said, you're piloting a cargo ship and someone over the radio is going to give you instructions on how to steer, how to refill the water tanks, how to repair pipes if they break, and use the horn, and how to avoid the first enemy. So it's really easy to do, at least for the first time. Like I said, it's meant to be easy. So in this game, you don't really run around a ship or anything like that. You pretty much just use these buttons here. So you can see you can like move back, move left and such. So you're not going to get lost. It's real easy, but you do need to keep your ship moving forward. And while doing that, you need to pilot it to avoid, glaciers and various things that are in the middle of the route that you're piloting. Of course, you also need to, look at your instruments to make sure nothing's breaking. You got like radar, you've got like water, you got ship integrity. Speaking of, there's an indicator of your ship's distance of travel, which I kept wondering why the distance would never go up. It was stuck, I think, at like 27 or 22 or something like that. Or even maybe it was 87. And I realized you need to hold on to the steering wheel to keep moving the ship forward. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. So I was wondering why I was going nowhere, but sure enough, yeah, I didn't have my mouse on the steering wheel. So at the same time though, you need to also watch the ship radar for any mechanical robots, aka like the Five Nights of Freddy. I forgot what they call them, animatronic kind of bots. And he's gonna, just kind of wander around the ship. And if it starts approaching the deck, then you're gonna need to do a couple things. So first of all, when the robot reaches the deck, you can pretty much look at him for a bit. And if he starts approaching you, then you're gonna hold your breath because he's gonna scan you and see if you're actually a human. If you move, you're gonna die. So you need to just hold your breath. There's a simple way of doing that. You can see on the left, there's a button for that. And then he's gonna walk away. So after you reach your destination, you got to go through a checklist before you can leave the ship. And this is where things get really dark, literally dark. You have to have a flashlight. You're going to be clicking on arrows to kind of travel around. And the checklist is kind of like a variety of things. You have to go and, pick up bottles, I think it was, or jars. And you got to like fix some pipes, different types of monsters that you can encounter here. The one that I kind of died to was a breathing monster. So if you hear it breathing, yeah, that actually happened. Now, this was the first voyage, so I'm sure there's even more difficult voyages than this one and with more monsters because you're supposed to use the ship horn if you see a monster, and I'm guessing the monster has to be outside, and if you see it, then you can scare it away with using your horn. So really cool game, definitely worth checking out. Next up is a game called Nameless, which is kind of funny because I just said it was called something, but I guess it's nameless. This game is a demo inspired by Dark Souls, and if you've never heard of Dark Souls before, then I'll just summarize that it's infamous for being one of the most difficult games to beat. A lot of people try to speedrun this game. It's been around for a while, but it's a non-Roblox game, okay? So your character in this game is equipped with a two-handed sword, and when you head outside to the courtyard, you're going to be greeted by a sleeping giant of a knight-looking character. He's just basically one of the boss. He's like a night boss. And when you awaken him, he's going to start swinging that sword down at you, causing massive damage if he reaches you. So it seems like in order to be able to even progress from this area, I tried escaping and kind of fell to my death, but you have to beat him to be able to progress. And I don't even know what's beyond this because I couldn't beat him. There's no tutorial for the game, but it feels nicely polished. I did do some experimenting with keys, and what I learned so far is that you can hold down spacebar to run. You can double tap spacebar to roll, which is really nice for avoidance. And you can hit shift to lock onto your target. And then, of course, if you take damage, you can hit R to use one of your potions, which you start out with. Beyond that, I'm clueless, dude. I need some tips from y'all. I don't know how to beat this guy. I tried. I got him like maybe a 5th or 6th low, and then I died. He's kind of brutal, man. Still super cool game. Hope the devs continue working on this one. Next, Bed Wars fans might like this one. So most of you by now should have played or seen games like Steep Steps, where you have to climb and reach certain altitudes, and then you obviously need to reach the checkpoint. And that way, if you ever come back to the game, you don't have to start over. Well, this new game called High Hike, players just build with a block to reach their destination, which I thought was a really unique take. Like usually, like games with Steep Steps, you have a ladder. This one, you can place a block. Feels a lot like you're playing Bed Wars. And then you could use the block and jump on it to be able to reach higher areas. Now, at first I thought this was going to be like way too easy, but the devs really thought this through, and they made it so that the blocks will fall after 3 seconds. So you need to like jump on the blocks pretty quickly, which shouldn't be too hard for most Bed Wars players. There's also some really cool physics in here. Like if you place some blocks on certain objects, it can weigh them down so you can get up to another place because of the weight. So really cool puzzle style game. I think a lot of Bed Wars players are going to like this one. So fans of Rainbow Friends may enjoy our next one called Amazing Digital Circus, clearly inspired by the animated series of the same name, which I have yet to watch, man. I think I caught like maybe a minute or two of it. It's on my to-do list, okay? In the Amazing Digital Circus, players need to find various objects while being chased by various monsters of what I would assume are from the show. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. The first round, you need to find 16 pillows, which were pretty easy for me to spot. And the next round after that, you need to look for bowling pins. And of course, a new boss or monster appears. So now you got to deal with 2 different monsters. I didn't get a chance to complete this round during the recording because I got killed, but I'm sure there's even more items you need to find and collect to be able to escape. The visuals are great, the game is easy to play, and of course there's also multiplayer, so you don't need to go it alone if you're scared of getting chased around by a monster or 2 or 3. I don't know how many there are. Since it's so similar to Rainbow Friends, I might go in and just give it another shot. I want to beat it. In the next game we have here, it's called We Do a Little Running. In this game, players enter a passageway and are shown a laser grid that begins to chase them. If you're too slow, you get killed by the laser, so you're going to need to avoid obstacles and use your stamina wisely to get as far as you can down the course. After each round, you can upgrade your various stats with points, which you earn from your run. For example, you can regen stamina faster, you can have faster max speeds, things like that. This game reminds me a lot of being chased by Seek indoors, where timing means everything. The visuals are awesome, and the few traps I experienced were pretty cool. So I can't wait to check this one out more later. Next is a zombie game called Undead Mayhem, which is another enjoyable zombie wave style game. This one gave me more zombie rush vibes than Call of Duty zombie vibes, if that makes sense. It just felt a little bit more casual. At one point, I had a toxic gas cloud appear in the entire map, and you start taking damage every second. So to avoid that, you need to go and grab a gas mask, and that way you stop taking damage. Of course, it obscures your vision a little bit because you're wearing a mask. It does seem like we keep getting zombie wave games though, and I'm starting to mix them all together. Like I don't know about you, but I feel like we need to start getting some different style games than zombie wave games. But you know, definitely check this one out. I enjoyed it a lot. Next is a new boss fighting game called Outlaws of Robloxia, which has a Roblox retro vibe to it, including the OG logo font and all. Like, it looks literally like it's an old game. You equip your sword and you need to avoid getting killed from explosives, mobs, the boss's attacks, and all that. It's basically a boss fighting game, like I said. And this one, I died pretty easily. But you have this boss you need to kill. He's got, you know, a bunch of like clones of himself that he keeps spawning. And of course, they chase you down and attack you. He like throws grenades, he does like flame attacks. And the nice thing though is it is cooperative, so there's other players helping you, or at least trying to do the same things you are. They're trying to kill the boss. The good news is that swords have really good range, so you don't need to be touching enemies to hit them. The bad news is they have good range too. So you only have 3 hearts before you die. Also, you don't have any kind of health regen. So if you take some damage, you took that damage and you keep that damage. So I didn't get to, you know, beat it, but hey, like maybe next time. Next is a very different style game called Top Down Shooty Shooty Bang Bang, which is a really funny game name. If you think about it, I couldn't resist checking this one out. I saw the name and I was like, this sounds cool. This game, as rightly named, is a top-down geometry style shooter, which has both PvE, aka player versus enemy, and PvP, which is player versus player components. There are multiple character types, so, you know, there's different types of stats depending on which character you choose or shape you choose. Some have like faster shooting, some have better speed, more health, more damage. damage. And of course, with that comes weaknesses, right? So like you might do a lot more damage, but maybe you have less health and so on. In the arena, there are various power-ups you can collect, like heals and shields. I saw a couple others in there too, but I didn't really understand what they did. I think there was like a clock or something, and you capture it and get that power-up. And then of course, there's a timer or cooldown before it respawns again. I believe the game was initially designed to be just PvP, but because of the low population, you can also play and grind XP solo by killing enemy mobs while you wait for other players to join. During this recording, the game had very few players, so it was difficult to capture any good PvP style gameplay, unfortunately, but I did get in a couple matches, but they didn't really know what to do, so it kind of ended very quickly. This next one was a great find by my friend Off Path, which is called Court Battles. Now, this might sound a little boring, but it's not. Trust me, I know it. Court sounds boring, but it's not. It's hilarious. In Court Battles, you have an accuser, a defendant, a jury, and a judge, which the judge is an NPC, so you don't get to be a judge. At the start of the match, player roles are randomly selected, and the accuser first begins with their accusation of what the defendant did. You can select canned messages, or you can type your own. After your time runs out, the defendant gets a turn to defend themselves and to try to convince the jury that they're innocent. Once the defendant finishes their speech, the jury votes on guilty or innocent. If found guilty, the player can either get thrown into jail, ejected Among Us style, or face the firing squad and basically get shredded by bullets. The game is hilarious, and I would definitely recommend checking this one out with your friends. I had a lot of fun messing with people, especially with the game passes. At one point, I sent everyone to prison, and eventually I also became the judge and sentenced a guy to firing squad, as you would imagine. Finally, we have a new tower defense game for you all, and I know you're going to ask me, DV, how many tower defense games are we going to keep getting in this series? Honestly, I wasn't even planning on including this one until I tried it out, and I decided it was worthy of showcasing, unlike some of the others that I showcased. I know, I showcased a few that were duds, but this game has a mix of TDS and TDX style gameplay. The visuals are stunning. It's starting to grow on Roblox very quickly. It was recommended to me as well. The units aim to be silly, though I didn't think they were silly. I thought they were pretty cool. The UI and everything in the game just feels much more simplified. So if you feel like TDS or TDX or name your 1000th tower defense game here is too complicated for you and you want something simple, this might be a great one for you to check out. Either way, go check this one out. Let me know what you think. Was it worth featuring? Let me know. So that is all of the games for the week. I had so many more, but sadly, some of them turned out to be a little bit bugged. Like there was one game that was like bugged in round 2. We had some games that were ripped off from some other creator, so I had to cancel that one. Another one had like a scam pay gate. There's a whole lot of work that goes into the series. So if you do enjoy the series, please do me a solid, hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already. And also, if you have a new game to check out that you want me to play and consider for the series, definitely leave that in the comments below. I also have a channel on my Discord that you can go to at discord.gg/tvplays, and you can recommend new games in that channel. Until next time, happy grinding. Peace.